Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Cyber Secure Court. Here you will get the best tips for your cybersecurity and learn what you can do to stay safe online. In today's video, I want to talk briefly about Windows Defender because there are always headlines claiming that Microsoft isn't that good, that Windows Defender isn't that good, that Microsoft even deleted the page stating that Windows Defender or Microsoft Defender is sufficient, and I have a very clear opinion on this, a very clear assessment. For companies, I do not find Windows Defender to be sufficient. Yes, I know, there are IT experts, and I know one too, who say it is really good. Windows Defender has become much better than in the past, and you don't need any other protection anymore. But these security vulnerabilities exist in all antivirus programs, of course. Recently with Avast, with Avira, with Norton, it doesn't matter where. You have to be aware of that. And what you also have to be aware of, these admin rights that you grant when you, for example, download Bitdefender or CrowdStrike, or simply install another antivirus. It is, of course, the case that it then has access to everything and logically also needs access to everything. And that's where many argue, of course, yes, Windows Defender is already integrated into the operating system. We don't have to do anything there. That's a free basic protection after all. And if we have Microsoft 365, then there's an additional bonus, an additional layer of protection. That is, of course, absolutely correct. And you can also harden Windows Defender, right? And configure it better so that it can protect the company even better. Yes, that's then, I believe, the enterprise version. But in my view, it still cannot keep up with the big brands, meaning the major antivirus manufacturers like Bitdefender, still Kaspersky as well, even if it is viewed critically in many countries, and CrowdStrike, among others, which I have listed here. Yes, and the reason for that is actually why I view Windows Defender so critically or would only recommend it for home office users. It is referred to in major computer magazines and trade journals as basic protection. And that Windows Defender simply doesn't have good phishing protection without Internet. I almost said Internet Explorer without Microsoft Edge, of course. Hopefully you are no longer using Internet Explorer. No, it was actually about Microsoft Edge, that it only offers better protection with Windows Defender when using Microsoft Edge, offers better phishing protection, and that this offline protection then completely fails. But as I said, it's the same with other antivirus manufacturers, that they can't guarantee 100% that you are always protected. So Windows Defender performs particularly poorly here. And another disadvantage from my point of view is the user-friendliness. Of course, Avira and Avast are really nicely designed both for private users and for companies, in that they simply offer a better interface so that you can immediately recognize, okay, here is the USB protection, here is the protection for the internet and so on. Here is the antivirus protection, here are the items in quarantine and so on. That is definitely better. With Windows Defender, you have to familiarize yourself with it, that's clear. And yes, what actually bothers me, and that's why I'm making this video today, the headlines lately that Windows 11 itself, not just Microsoft Defender, stood out negatively, but that there were really some very old vulnerabilities in Windows 11 that were uncovered by AI models like Claude, I believe it was Claude. And that was, of course, more than just one program. So, for example, also Microsoft 365, Word, and so on. Yes, and Microsoft has, of course, patched these security vulnerabilities, and Windows Defender is updated regularly. It is cloud-based after all, and so that you have up-to-date virus protection. But it is actually less effective at fending off certain viruses than, for example, Bitdefender or Kaspersky. They have really been tested here, and they perform better. Some say minimally better, others say Windows Defender fails completely here. Yes, so as I said, for companies, I would not recommend Windows Defender because it simply does not offer a 100% guarantee. I mean, other antivirus manufacturers usually don't do that either, but they promise that it works, that this security is guaranteed. And Bitdefender also has business and enterprise versions. Norton and such, these big antivirus manufacturers, they were always ahead for a long time when Windows Defender performed significantly worse. And one must also say here that Microsoft was a bit sloppy in not further developing Microsoft Defender or Windows Defender, whatever you want to call it, for so long. Yes, it has improved now, and it can keep up with the big names in AV tests. But the new tests from 2026 in the German-speaking region, i.e. Computer Bild, Chip, and PC Magazine, though I think these magazines exist internationally as well, have shown that Windows Defender actually doesn't perform that well after all, and that the big names can definitely continue to market their antivirus software, and that this antivirus protection is definitely still useful, especially for companies. Yes, that's what I can say about Windows Defender. As I said, these security vulnerabilities happen more frequently in the past, but it has actually emerged that Windows Defender has deteriorated again in 2026. And it is really recommended here to look into which antivirus protection is suitable for you. And that brings us to the downsides. Many call it snake oil, and I've already mentioned the reasons, namely that you grant admin rights, and let's stick with Bitdefender for now. Bitdefender then gets complete access to the laptop or computer. Yes, and the problem is then, of course, on one hand, granting these admin rights, and on the other hand, that you have to trust this antivirus manufacturer that they can see all data, even on USB sticks, everything. Yes, and it can happen. I mean, it can happen that it slows down the computer. I've already tried out several antivirus software or, well, antivirus programs that could actually, well, not only make the computer slower, but also get in the way of certain programs. That can happen, and you naturally have to perhaps familiarize yourself with it a bit, I'd say, and get informed, right? And that's why many say the more convenient solution is, of course, Windows Defender, which is already integrated and is free of charge. What about free programs like Avira and Avast? Should small businesses or even medium-sized enterprises deactivate Windows Defender and use and install this software instead? So in principle, there's naturally nothing against that, but it still definitely appeals to the private user because Avast and many other antivirus manufacturers have deliberately not integrated certain things into this free antivirus software. Ransomware protection, which is essential for businesses, is not included in many free programs. And the firewall too, you then have to turn that on separately via Windows Defender. Therefore, in my view, it is not recommended to deactivate Windows Defender, because ultimately you might be getting worse virus protection with the free antivirus program than with Windows Defender, which has ransomware protection and the firewall on board. Yes, you naturally have to know what settings you are making anyway, with Windows Defender just as with Avast. And yes, I would advise against replacing it with a free antivirus program. So final conclusion, Windows Defender is a good basic protection aimed at private users or people working from home. Also at so-called freelancers, I would say. It's absolutely sufficient, and I've discussed this with IT experts several times, that it is my opinion that it is aimed at specific target groups who work with simple things, who work from home, and of course also at seniors. I would also say that Windows Defender is sufficient there, but not for companies. Companies definitely need better antivirus protection with a business or enterprise version. And it's not just about the topic of investing money here, it's about the topic of investing in security here.